obviously put a lot of work, heart and soul into this thing.
We saved her from the shredder, and it, you know, it needed everything. So I tore it all apart, and I actually met his wife. He's passed, but his wife still lives in the same house and has the same landline, you know, the same phone number as the paperwork that was still laying on the floor from like 1992. I actually called the phone number that was on a piece of garbage on the floor, and she answered. I'm super glad that I ended up doing that anyways, because I made a new friend.
Awesome.
She loves it. She's like, I'm bringing this truck back to her after the show so she can see it.
Attaboy. Yeah.
And her son was there. They gave me the original manual for the truck, so I have like the engine manual, the tranny manual, the whole Kenworth file from the factory I have for it. They gave me a bunch of pictures. I got pictures of it in Alaska, like hauling logs in Alaska.
Dude, that's cool. So you're following, like, you're tracking down the history of the truck.
Yeah, exactly. And that to me is just as cool as any of this, you know, to actually get its background, you know, and kind of try to piece together where it's been. Like, if it could talk almost, I think would be so cool.
Dude, that's awesome. Everybody, welcome back to the Flannel Channel, and you know that I find some of the coolest people with some of the coolest trucks. We're hanging out at the Big Iron Classic 2022, and I'm with Derek Kayfes.
Yep.
Did I pronounce that right?
Yep.
All right, from Brainerd, Minnesota.
Yes, sir.
And I saw this truck yesterday, actually the day before, and it stopped me in my tracks. Anytime I'd walk by or drive by in my golf cart, I'm like, I gotta get a closer look at this thing. So I just happened to catch him. I'm like, dude, can we like talk on camera so that people can understand what you built and what you did? So I'm just gonna kind of turn it over to you. You can tell us a little bit of the basics of the background of the truck, where it came from, and then you've obviously put a lot of work, heart and soul into this thing.
We saved her from the shredder.
That's awesome, man. Go for it. So give us the quick rundown of what it actually is, the cab.
Yeah, 69A model, short hood, small cam Cummins, 4x4 tranny. We saved it, you know, it was in the scrapyard in Thief River, and a guy saved it out of there, and I ended up with it, and it, you know, it needed everything. So I tore it all apart and bought a new set of frame rails for it, and went to drilling and profiling and tapering frame rails and doing all that fun stuff. And
it's awesome.
You know, 6 months later, and a whole bunch of cussing, and here it is.
Good for you, man. I really dig some of the things that you left alone, and then also some of the pieces that you replaced and the length that you chose, all those kind of things. So what went into deciding what you wanted and what you chose to do with the truck itself?
It's just a lot of years, you know, actually walking around places like this, you just kind of pick up on, you know, oh, I like that, or I don't like that, or, you know. So I've kind of compiled things I do like, things I don't like, just over the years of, you know, talking to other cool people, and you know, just kind of went from 270 wheelbase. I didn't want to go too long, you know. I think with the short hood, the small bunk, it just kind of don't want to overdo it, you know. And
sometimes less is more. Sometimes
that's kind of what we were going for too, is the whole less is more. For one, we didn't have any more time to do much more, so we kind of had to actually, you know, some things got cut kind of short, you know, and I just had to keep moving to get it here. So
and there's nothing like a deadline to force you to keep moving on a project.
I kind of, there was a few times I was like, you bit off more than you should have. You should have did this for next year, you know. But it worked. It's here. It's not finished, but it's here.
Hey, is a project like this ever really finished anyway, though?
I don't think so. Probably not.
There's got to be things that you want to change.
Yeah.
That,
for
stuff
sure.
Like that.
For sure. It's still, you know, like painting it. I don't know. I like it the way it is. But I think it'd be really cool to really finish it too. But that's a whole nother project. That's probably just as much work as what I've already done. You know. So.
Now, to me, the more guys like you that I talk to, the true definition of cool is building it for yourself, building what you think is cool, not trying to please a crowd or you know, like show off to your buddies and stuff like that. It's what you like.
It's just what I thought was cool. Yeah,
exactly. You talked a little bit about how when you found this thing, it only had like one air cleaner and the fuel tanks. So talk a little bit about that. What decisions you made?
It was just like you said, one air cleaner on the other side. Lube refiner was here. The tanks were up under the steps, or under the doors, excuse me. There were no steps.
Sure.
So I just, I kind of had to, like, I robbed these off of a different truck that I had laying around, and a lot of the, this stuff up here, that was all gone. I had to cut the hood out. That was pretty intimidating. I'm like, man, I really don't want to get my body saw out after my hood, but I kind of had to, and moving the tanks back was kind of tricky with the sleeper mount brackets and the size of the tanks, and there's just a lot of stuff you got to work around, and the more stuff you change to get it the way you want it, then it's like, now I got to change that, and then now that doesn't line up, and just it's like an ongoing snowball effect. But
absolutely,
just do the best you can.
That's right. You talked a little bit about how you have some parts available to you that maybe not the average guy would have, but you have kind of
about 3 generations worth of stuff laying in the weeds. So
that's awesome.
And it's not all this stuff, there's a bunch of off the wall stuff out there too, but yeah, for the most part, between my dad's place and some of the friends that I've made over the years and stuff, like I feel pretty fortunate at the selection of parts I have, for sure.
That's awesome. So obviously you come from a trucking family.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Grandpa, both grandpas, dad.
Wow.
Yeah, and me. And
good for you, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, do you haul every day? I mean, are you out trucking on the road?
Well, I haven't been as much lately, but
Okay.
Yeah, for the most part.
All right.
Usually like flatbed stuff during the summer, a lot of Chicago and back, or regional to upper Midwest type stuff, and then I like to pull my van in the winter just because flatbed sucks, you know. But
so is this one gonna stay parked in the wintertime? You're not. This isn't gonna be.
No, it's not even really ready to work yet. I still, I could hook it to a load this fall before the roads go bad, but I think I'm just gonna park it back at home and keep tinkering on it for a while. Planning on building my own interior this winter. Try my hand at that. I've never done it before, but I do have a big industrial sewing machine, and I can force myself to learn how to use it. So,
dude, that is so cool. Young guys like you that are willing to just try new things. Like,
I didn't know how to do any of this. I'd never painted.
That's awesome.
I've painted tons of stuff with rattle cans, but I've never actually painted like with a real deal spray gun and the whole 9 yards. And once again, I was lucky enough that I have a friend who does for a living.
Awesome.
So he came over and kind of gave me the rundown, this is how you mix the stuff, and this is, do it like this. And I'm just like, okay. So,
just go for it.
And I did, and I actually had to sand it back down because the first time it didn't, it didn't turn out the way I wanted. So I actually assembled the whole chassis and then sanded it all back down, pushed it all back outside and squirted it again a little different way, mixed the paint a little different and a little different procedure, and then I got it closer to what I wanted. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's a lot better. And
dude,
first time ever painting, so
that's awesome.
I'm not really afraid to go after something like the interior or something that I haven't ever done. I actually like to learn that stuff, even though I'm not the best at it. There's a lot of guys who have way nicer stuff, but
so cool
for me just to learn. It's,
well, I admire that about you, man. Nice job.
Thanks.
Very cool. You should be proud. I mean, hey, obviously we'll keep walking around. You can show me other things that you've done, but the things that you've changed or moved, I mean, obviously, like you said, they're brand new frame rails on this thing. And so your drive line, your drive shaft, things like that's all brand new. We got some brand new hose, like all your bolts, your fasteners, everything. So lots of trips to the parts store, I would think.
Oh man, you wouldn't believe the gas money spent going back and forth to the parts store. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's wild. And what'd you choose for your rear suspension here?
This is like a probably somewhere between 04 to 2013. I don't know when they switched the hangers on the low air leaf, but
Sure.
it's the new style Peterbilt low air leaf.
Yep.
I don't know exactly what year it is. Once again, something I had laying around. I bought it years ago, and it only had the rear drive axle in it.
Oh.
It was the front suspension hangers, but he had like a dead pusher axle bolted in there, and it was not a very good job. So I bought the suspension cheap and drug it home. I figured I'll get, something, I'll use it someday type of a thing. And then this came up, and I'm like, yep, I'll use that old suspension. And I had this front axle housing out of an 8-bag Kenworth that we built a few years ago. And I was like, well, that'll work perfect, because I'll cut the 8-bag stuff off of it, and I'll weld the Peterbilt stuff onto it.
Oh.
And then
kind of a hybrid.
Bolt it in.
Yeah.
Don't ever do that. No.
Lesson learned.
That's a ton of work, and I should have went and bought a $400 housing from the salvage yard and been done with that. But
that's the voice of experience right there.
Yeah, what you brung, you know, that's what I had.
Sure.
Probably wasted half of a week doing that, and should have never done that. But hey, whatever. There's a lot of stuff like that on
you're using what was available to you at the time. That's super cool. Yeah. Wow.
So.
And looks like cow mat.
Yeah.
Atta boy. Love it. Love it. When you're on a budget, man. And I like the choice of 3 instead of 2 taillights.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, that's fun.
That was actually just some little cheap stainless panel. Once again, kind of out of time. I was wiring this last week. Probably took me 20 hours to wire, because I had to do all the turn signals and everything. And
sure.
I was like, I don't have time to build a panel for that. I'm just bolt that on and go.
Just go. Yep. You can do more later on, right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the whole idea.
Yep.
Now, do you know, like, the patina on this truck is one of my favorite things. What company was this at before?
The guy's name was Al Christensen, and he lived in basically Virginia, Minnesota, but Mount Iron, which is right next to Virginia.
Yeah.
That's who owned this truck from, I think, the late 70s, mid to late 70s, all the way up until he died. He ran this. The truck was originally, I think, Matson's was up northern Minnesota somewhere. He bought it from them when it was just a few years old, and he ran it the whole time.
So Minnesota truck its whole life.
Minnesota truck its whole life. Yep.
Man,
and it actually did some time in Alaska.
Is that right?
I actually met his wife. He's passed, but his wife still lives in the same house and has the same landline, the same phone number as the paperwork that was still laying on the floor from like 1992. Because I was trying to figure out, when I got the truck, I didn't get no title. I had nothing, so I was trying to figure out, how the hell am I going to do this? I was trying to track down family or somebody that would know, and I actually called the phone number that was on a piece of garbage on the floor, and she answered.
Dude.
And her name's Barb.
Okay.
And we talked, and I kind of explained to her what I had, and what I was after, and I got a hold of the DMV, and they said, well, if you bring her with you to the DMV, and she has a death certificate, we can issue a title.
Wow.
I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
So I go all the way up there, pick her up, go to the DMV, they can't find it. So then I had to go through the whole, paperwork shuffle and stuff, send pictures into the state and do all that to get the title.
Wow.
But it was cool, and I'm super glad that I ended up doing that anyways.
Sure.
Because I made a new friend.
Awesome.
She loves it. She's like, I'm bringing this truck back to her after the show so she can see it.
Attaboy. Yeah.
And her son was there. They gave me the original manual for the truck. So I have like the engine manual, the tranny manual, the whole Kenworth file from the factory I have for it. They gave me a bunch of pictures. I got pictures of it in Alaska, like hauling logs and shit in Alaska.
Dude, that's cool. So you're following, like, you're tracking down the history of the truck.
Yeah,
exactly.
And that to me is just as cool as any of this, to actually get its background, and kind of try to piece together where it's been. Like, if it could talk almost, I think would be so cool.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
that does me a lot of good, and I know a lot of the people that watch this channel really dig that kind of stuff too. So good on you for tracking it down.
Yeah,
and
that was actually, you know, probably just as much fun as building it as finding that stuff out.
Good for you.
Cool.
Yep. And you appreciate that part of it. You weren't just buying some part. Like that was important to you. And man, that's...
and like the cab and the bunk numbers matching. The serial tag is on both of them, so that's, you know,
they've been together
to the right guy.
life.
It's pretty cool. Some people probably don't care, but I thought, you know, that's pretty cool that they were a team when they came out, and they're still in one piece together, you know.
That's right. Yep.
So
very cool.
And the fact that it was sitting waiting to go through the shredder, you know, I'm glad it didn't.
Absolutely. Now it's got a second chance, and its story can be told through you.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yep.
Can you take us inside or under the hood or anything like that?
Yeah,
take
anything
a look?
you want.
All right.
It's nothing fancy, so don't laugh.
No, hey man.
The motor, you know, I didn't do anything to the motor. I just, you know, put a new starter and new, you know, radiator hoses and all that kind of stuff, just so it was maybe reliable enough to drive down here. But you know, the son actually told me the motor only had like 30,000 miles since a refresh.
Really?
When the guy, he had, I think it was dementia or something he came down with, and you know, or whatever. But supposedly not a lot of time on it, but who really knows?
Right. Right. But you're taking care of wiring and hoses and you know, brakes.
I try to take care of the stuff the first time that I don't want to redo.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Do it once. Do it right.
If the motor gives a problem, we'll change that.
Yeah. Yep.
Not a big deal, but you know, like the plumbing and stuff. 2 years down the road, I don't want to be re-plumbing, you know, stuff that I didn't do right the first time. So I kind of tried to focus more on that aspect of it and leave the other stuff for a later date.
Right.
You know, there's a lot. There's a lot left to be done, no doubt.
Sure. What did you choose for your front suspension here then?
Actually, so the leaf springs are still just the factory A model springs.
Wow.
But they were the big, like 10 leaf packs to begin with. So we pulled most of those out and left 4.
Okay.
Then we used the like new style Pete or Kenworth rear hangers on the back, just to take some of the arch out of the spring when it's down.
Right.
And then the air ride, a good friend of mine builds that in-house.
Awesome.
He's basically my neighbor, so
very cool.
I don't know if I'm supposed to name drop on here.
All right, whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. So yeah.
But Randy Hovde is the guy who builds that stuff, and he does a lot of other custom truck work too. So
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he does a nice job. He makes the brackets and plumbing and everything.
Yep. You got to kind of position the brackets in there the way you want them before you weld them together.
Oh, okay. Sure.
So that, you know, if you need to clearance anything like radiator piping or you know, stuff like that.
Gotcha. It's a kit you can kind of assemble.
Yep.
Very
and it's
cool.
super nice that he lives, you know, 3 miles from me, so I can always be like, hey, can you swing over and, you know, mock this up for me?
Yeah. That's awesome.
He's a big help.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Can we step inside?
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, nothing off the charts by any means, just the factory interior. Was in pretty good shape when I bought it. Kind of sad to cut it out around the Unibuilt ring, but I really dig the Unibuilt.
Yeah.
You know, on any of these old trucks.
Oh yeah, then you can put your seats where you want it.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
There's nothing in the bunk.
Sure. But you plan on finishing it. You plan to have.
Yeah, actually, I don't know what I want to do yet, but I'd like to do something different, kind of cool. You know, try to build my own headliner and door panels and stuff.
Awesome.
Maybe I don't even know yet. I'm gonna have to dig in the creativity to see what I think I might even want to try with that. But.
Very cool. Well, that's why you come to shows and you get inspiration from other guys.
Yeah,
you know,
I spend most of the weekend wandering around here, kind of, ooh, you know, that looks cool. How'd he do that? You know, or trying to. I spend a lot of time on the ground, you know, looking under people's trucks, and they're like, "What the hell are you doing?" You know? Check this out.
Yeah. Yep. That's awesome. That's part of what it's all about.
Yeah.
Love it. So, what would you say is your favorite thing on this whole truck? What do you like the most about it?
I don't know.
Hey, that's too tough a question.
I really don't know.
All right. Maybe the story that it has that you can tell.
Yeah,
huh?
to me, that's like really the cool part is that, you know, it didn't get, and I'm not taking away from anybody who pieces a truck together.
Oh no, yeah.
Because I pieced some of this truck together, but the fact that it's, well, it's 69, so what is that, you know?
Yeah, how many years that is.
How long it actually made it together and didn't get wrecked. I know it hit a deer or something at one time and they fixed the fender or whatever, but the fact that it didn't just get destroyed, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you know, it's not a long hood. It's, you know,
it's different, and I think that's what makes it cool. Yeah, you know, you're not trying to be like everybody else, and you appreciate it for what it is. Yep. And you're making it your own.
You're gonna try to go make some money with it eventually.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Instead of spend money on it.
Right. Exactly. I'd say the truck is getting to the point it starts to owe you back now once in a while. So yeah.
I hope so.
Very cool.
I hope so.
Is there anything else? Did we forget anything that you want to mention?
Not really. I mean, just that's it.
Very cool. All right, man. Well, thank you for your time, man.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
all right.
Thank you.